Good morning. I'm with Doug Veenhof and Rick Blue. And we are here to talk about some programming at Wisdom's Heart. Wisdom's Heart is up and going now.
We're happening. We're up and running. We're right in the heart of Main Street in Gloucester, the old bank building. And I hear all the stories about all the previous lives it had from, I think, a radio station. I remember it was a bookstore, and we've redone it, and it's awesome. And we've been kind of up and running since October.
Right across from Pinoli, which was the former Alchemy.
Exactly.
That'll give people an idea of the space. And it's on the bottom. It's kind of like the bottom floor there, but you got some windows there, so you get some light in there.
We do. It's actually perfect because there's some action going by. You can see it, but you're not in a fish tank. You know, when you're doing some of the classes. But yeah, it's a really great space, and because it was a bank building in the bottom, we still have some really cool artifacts, like a big vault door and an old safe in there. And
I've been in that space. There's some really funky architecture and some cool stuff that that Ken was, and I guess you guys were astute enough to maintain and didn't tear everything out of there.
Yeah, Ken Heck's done a great job with the building, and of course my wife Lindsay and members of the board, you know, really turned it into a beautiful space. So if you remember what it was and you haven't seen it, come by and just you know, come all the way in. You don't have to poke your head through the window. We'll be happy to see you and show you what's going on.
Rick, what are some of the things that happen at Wisdom's Heart outside of what's going to happen, Doug?
Well, it's really soup to nuts in a way. I mean, we've got everything from formal study classes that talk about Buddhist philosophy as well as Eastern philosophy, classic texts, to daily yoga programs, movement and Tai Chi. We've got ongoing meditation support, and then everything from Lindsay gathers with people to just knit and do embroidery. It's called Sacred Stitch, where you actually just spend time together. Yeah. And in the act of doing it, Lindsay says it brings out amazing conversations. Yeah. We have potluck dinners where we gather. We'll look at films and talk about things. So it's really wonderful. We had a great concert last night with a storyteller, percussionist, John DeCott, and a vocalist, Carrie Grossman, and it was just an awesome, really, really wonderful evening. Lindsay, you waving your fingers. What else did I miss?
One-offs. We got one-offs.
And we have a lot of one-off teachings.
Basic teachings on happiness, forgiveness, anger.
Yeah. The voice off camera that you can't see. It's my wonderful wife Lindsay. Who I told her she should be sitting here. She's more fun to look at than me too. Is we also do a lot of single classes, and it's everything from you know, how to really maintain a happy life and consistently, you know, be present. And we do it through a lot of different ways. So it's not like an old school thing where you think you're just sitting there contemplating your navel 24/7. We really get people engaged in these interactive programs. Yeah,
and this leads us to Doug, which is going to be one of the programs.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you introduce Doug and a little bio on him and what's going to happen with his piece?
It's very hard for me to encapsulate Douglas Veenhof because to me he is a Renaissance man. And one of the things about Wisdom's Heart is we like to bring in really great, engaging people. It's not just the same resident teachers; we also bring in great guest teachers. And I met Douglas as a Buddhist student. We were studying together in Arizona, and Doug is a journalist. Doug is a writer. Doug is I would say, I'm going to put you on the spot and say, a master meditator. He has spent a great deal of time really examining not only the classical aspects of meditation, but also as a journalist, he's great. He digs into what's going on in your brain, the neuroscience, the psychological aspects, and he's knit it together into this really usable program, and that's why we love having it there. It's not all theory. It's how to sit down on a cushion and actually change your life in ways that you can see it happen, and in ways that you start to enjoy it and get practiced ease at this technique. So we just finished a retreat with Doug at the Essex Conference Center. We did it over a course of about 4 days, and we were able to all stay there. But we wanted to bring him back and have other people be able to experience him. So we're doing what's called an urban retreat at the center, which is like you can go home at night, you can have dinner and tuck the kids in, but come in during the days and be able to have sessions of sitting meditation and then Doug giving you guided instruction and some of the actual hands-on theory. And so we're trying to, and Doug, who's been a mountain guide and an outdoorsman, we're trying to attract him to the beauty of Cape Ann to see if we can keep him here during parts of the year to come teach for us.
There you go. Doug, so why don't you explain, what the focus of this program is going to be, and talk when it is and how people can find more information about it.
This particular program begins on the evening of February 6th, I believe that is, which is a Friday night, 7 to 9:30. And what this program does is it's all about mind training. So meditation is really mind training. And the idea is that if we really pay attention to our minds right now, we find a lot of chaos and a lot of internal chatter. And what the whole point of meditation or mind training, first of all, is to be able to add a mute switch to that mental chatter. And so that we can really begin to direct our attention to where we would like to keep it, without all of the distractions that, especially our culture these days with smartphones and the web and all of that, is training a very profound and serious attention deficit in our culture. So this is swimming upstream, in a sense, against the tides of this attention deficit and that constant stimulation that our culture is training us in. So we first of all focus on begin at the very beginning with relaxation. So for a lot of people who don't know how to relax, or that only relax when their head hits the pillow finally at night for some maybe interrupted sleep.
Interrupted, for these type of people, because when people have this stuff going, I think probably you nailed it on the head. Like in this day and age, with the alerts and the text messages and the dings and the whistles and the bells from the smartphones and technology and our lives today, there is no downtime. It's like go, go, go. I can't imagine a program that for today's lifestyle more important for people to I know probably 20 people off like that I can think of like that could benefit from something like this, that don't sleep at night. They can't turn off. They get something. It's this. Their mind is going from one crisis to another crisis. Yeah. Do people leave this with tools to how to overcome that?
Oh yeah, Joe. What's really interesting to recall is just how recent this phenomenon is of the smartphone and the attention deficit that we're training ourselves. 7 years basically since the iPhone. The first iPhone 3 was introduced, and how our lives have changed so much because of that. And so now a third of people go to sleep with a third of smartphone owners go to sleep with their iPhones, and wake up in the middle of the night checking text messages. So yeah, everyone, and especially people who need to relax, who have very stressful busy lives, the first thing that we do is remedial relaxation, and what we do is we go about that by focusing on the sense of touch. And so people are able to, you don't have to be able to sit cross-legged for hours on end in lotus position. In fact, that's counterproductive. So we focus on total relaxation to begin with. So people meditate on their backs. And so the idea being that the foundation for all of deep concentration, to get into that zone of like a gold medal figure skater performance, is to be both simultaneously highly aroused. Your attention is vividly clear, but it has to be deeply, profoundly relaxed at the same time. And so that's a type of attention that we just don't train. It's a very anomalous type of attention. So only great performers know that, but they don't really know how to get there. It's kind of a hit and miss thing.
Do you think that I'm sorry for interrupting you, but do you think that like the people that most need this are the least likely to show up? You know what I mean? Because I know that the people that I'm thinking of, like that like high performing people and a lot of chaos in their lives, like how do we get to them and say, this is what you need? Like, I know these certain people, this is what you need. I want to get them, I want to shake them and say, or I want to kidnap them. I want to put them in front of you, and I want to say, listen, you may think it, for some people, if they're not open to these, Buddhism, or they're not open to anything outside of their Orthodox, Catholic religion. How do we break down those barriers and get people to understand?
I think part of the mission of our center is to offer programs where they don't just seem like you have to be of this flavor or that flavor to take it. These are applicable to anyone. We're trying to take ideas that maybe come from originally a Buddhist idea to say these relate to anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, or whatever. These are human problems. These are problems we all. In fact, we try to kind of bring it in scales. I did a series of talks, and I'm still doing them, called the ADDing of America. How literally we're being groomed and cutting this groove to kind of have this attention down this, and we all relate to that.
Yeah.
And then maybe through a class like that, someone says, "Oh, I can meditate." I mean, there were so many people that were so excited when Doug said, "You get to lay down on your back and you meditate."
Oh, I'm all in. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I don't have to float in the air with my legs bent like a pretzel.
So it very well could be that the greatest thing that someone gets out of a weekend, this is the case when I do these workshops in prison, is typically the response is, the greatest thing that I learned, the most profound, important thing that is changing my life is learning how to relax. And then everything else becomes possible after that. People's lives change. You just know how cranky you are when you don't get enough sleep. That's the first thing that if you want to improve your life, the first thing to do is just to get a good night's sleep. And so just a little remedial relaxation is the foundation for all of that. But this mindfulness buzz that is going through our culture now is buzzing through the culture because it works. That's and a large part of that came out of this area with John Kabat-Zinn's work in Boston, and that was originally the applications of mindfulness or meditation, mind training to medical situations. To relieving stress, anxiety, high blood pressure, all of that, and the reason that it's become so popular is simply because it's so effective. The American Medical Association released a study last year that indicated that in a 10-year meta-study of reviewing the data and the research on meditation and its effects on depression, anxiety, and visceral pain, the American Medical Association recognized that meditation is as effective as pharmaceuticals for all three of those: meditation, anxiety, and pain.
Yeah, without all the residual effects.
I'm glad when I heard you mention that, because I had this little buzzword I used to say when I was teaching, say, "Don't medicate, meditate." So thank you for helping validate that. But it's stuff you can walk away with, and that's the thing. And if you kept a log, and I think a lot of people return because they say, "I actually can see an improvement. I actually can see the quality of my life and my presence in my life." Because a lot of us feel like there's a layer of gauze over our life, and we're walking around kind of not really in our life, and this kind of wakes you up.
I could see
so that you can be there.
So when is it again? It's going to be February 6th. The night of February 6th is a Friday night?
Yeah, so it's a Friday evening and then Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday and Sunday, because this is a retreat rather than a workshop, it's a longer day. So it's 10 until 5:30 with a lunch break. And so the longer sessions allow us more time to actually have experience of the teaching. So I'll be teaching as well, instructing to get people from having no experience whatsoever of meditation. The most chaotic mind is welcome, because that's all of us, really. And nobody is unique.
That gets me in the door.
There you go. The website is?
Wisdomsheart.org.
And the information will be there?
It'll be there, and you can register and sign up. And even if you can't come for the workshop, come to the Friday night public talk.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.